All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking on Reviews, and after again getting back on track after a long hiatus, I think the last time I did this show was December 15th, 2019. So, almost 3 months since we've done The Leftovers Season 2 reviews. We're back with Episode 6 with a vengeance. Not really, just with a lot to say. So thank you guys, those of you who watched this, those of you who are waiting for me to get back to doing these. We're back, and we're going to finish this sumbitch as soon as we can. There's only, I believe, like 13 episodes left. I think Season 3 is only like 8 episodes. So, yeah, I love talking about this show. It really, you might wonder, why is this guy with like comic books and action figures and games talking about The Leftovers? Especially also because of my belief system, which I really don't have one anymore. I always kind of seem still drawn to things like this that deal with faith and belief and religion, probably because of my background, instead of despite it. And The Leftovers is one of the best shows that was ever made, bar none. And that's why what we talk about here. We talk about the best stuff, or at least what I consider to be the best stuff. And tonight we're talking about Lens, Season 2, Episode 6, full spoilers. First thing off that I got to talk about is the music at the beginning. It's the song State of the Art by Jim James, who is the frontman for My Morning Jacket, one of my favorite bands of that I've discovered in the last 10 years or so. I freaking love Jim James's voice. I love his music. And if you get a chance to hear this song, if there's the best version that I've ever heard was when he did David Letterman live. If you can find that on YouTube, State of the Art on Letterman Show, holy crap, does that song have so much energy? Because this version of it is kind of more quiet, but I think you need the quiet version so you can hear all of the lyrics really clearly. Because a lot of this is, I use my state-of-the-art technology. It's very fitting to what is happening in this episode. And so that's just a little nugget out there. If you don't know who sings that song, it's Jim James. So we see this beginning, right? This scientist here, this researcher, we don't know what he's saying. I mean, I don't speak Spanish or wherever he's from. I don't mean to say it like that. But I don't understand what he's saying. But it seems really serious, and it's all tied into the 3 missing girls in Miracle/Jarden, Texas. He's going there on a mission. He gets there to Miracle. He won't let his stuff be checked through the machines, the X-ray machines. They push him through anyway. He goes and goes past all the people that you'd see here. You got the guy in the tower. You got the girl in the wedding dress. And he makes his way to Erica Murphy's house and asks, is this where Evie Murphy disappeared? Are you the mother? And she's like, yeah. Before we even get to that, though, let's really talk about what this episode is. And sorry I'm all over the place, but I just got done with an 8.5-hour shift dealing with the public and the coronavirus panic. And so I'm a little wound up, to put it mildly. So I'm a little all over the place as it is. And so I came home just wanting to talk about this, so forgive me if I'm a little all over the place. But this episode mainly is about 2 mothers, Nora and Erica, and how each of them is dealing with the situation for their family, respectively. Erica's still trying to deal with her missing daughter, and whether she departed or not, and the fact that her husband, beats up people who believe in miracles and bring that kind of mentality to their town. While Nora is trying to convince herself that she's over and gotten past the disappearance of her family, and how she's doing all sorts of stuff to protect what she has. So when this guy shows up at Erica's and just walks away and goes over here to Nora, who's having a happy day. She's like, how you doing? And this guy wants to talk to her, and he's a scientist doing research and wants to know, basically, if there's any correlation between the proximity of the departures and, like, if since she had 3 kids, 2 kids and her husband disappear, and nothing ever happened in Jordan, Texas before you came here, they were believing that her proximity to the girls made them disappear. And so, rightfully so, Nora basically just kicks this guy off her porch, throws everything around, and tells him to get lost. Like, don't ever come back here. And I mean, Carrie Coon, again, shines. Regina King kills it also in this episode. This is a powerhouse performance by both actresses. And again, why Carrie Coon was never nominated or won, maybe she was nominated, but why she never won or was up for an Emmy, I can't remember, for this show is fucking ludicrous. And Regina King, too, should have been nominated for her performance, just for this episode alone. So, one thing we should talk about is right at the beginning of the episode, Nora hucks a rock through the Murphy's window. She hucks a rock through the window. She sees her looking at them and feeling like she sent this man to my house. And so she hucks a rock through their window. And then gets merry breakfast and just goes about her day. And then the phone calls start. And the researchers are trying to get a hold of her on the phone. And now she's having to hang up on people. Don't call me here. Putting that, stressor on her. Everything's fine, or is it? We all know that you can just tell nothing's fine. She's not over anything. Kevin surely isn't over anything. If anything, everything's gotten worse since the events in season 1. Come on, Kevin's handcuffed to the bed because of the sleepwalking. She doesn't want him to leave so bad that they, handcuff each other, him to the bed, her to him. And while this could have been a pretty hot and heavy scene where they start getting it on, he's tripping balls because he's seeing Patty. I loved how they did this scene. They didn't actually show her. They showed, this is all from her point of view, this scene. So she's trying to get it on, and he jerks like he's having a seizure or a fit, when really he's seeing Patty in the room while they're about to have sex. And, that freaks him out, ruins the mood. And, this is their new normal. And this is where we're then introduced to Joel Murray, Bill Murray's brother. Joel Murray is a fantastic actor. I first was introduced to him on One Crazy Summer, the Savage Steve Holland movie with John Cusack and Demi Moore. Fantastic in that movie. And he's been in everything from Dharma and Greg to Mad Men. He was great on Mad Men. Well, he is a fellow DSD, the Department of Departures, and she immediately, like, bad timing, man, because he's showing up at her door thinking, like, who the fuck is this now? But at least when she finds out he's DSD, she finds out that he just wants to talk to the Murphys. And Erica finds out that everybody knows that the DSD is there to talk to her. How they know this already? Because he hasn't even been to her house yet. But the neighbors already know, and they're putting on the pressure. So it's like they called the DSD on her to come to Jordan, to Miracle, to help her or force her to find the help that she needs, or they think she needs, to, prove that the girls were either departed or not. Now, like a lot of people, if you try to force them to do something, they're not going to react too well to it. And I love her reaction to her friends and neighbors, not so gently pushing this issue on her. Telling the one lady, you smell like alcohol, and walking away. Like you think you're so great, you smell like, booze. But this is where Carrie Coon finds out the term lensing. Because they tell her on the phone that that they think she's a lens. And she looks it up, and lensing is basically the term that they use for someone who gives off ultraviolet rays that cause anyone around them to depart. Or there's a new term called lift, which I actually kind of really like. I think that's pretty funny. Because, of course, at some point, they're just going to start coming up with simpler ways to talk about these things that are really important, but break them down into more like impersonal terms. Erica at the hospital finds the latest victim of John Murphy's physical attacks. The guy that was trying to sell the bottled water, trying to scoop up all the water to sell it to people because it's miracle water. He got the crap beat out of him by John. He doesn't say who it is, but she tells him basically who it was. Was one of them the guy who was hitting you the hardest? Was he a black guy? And that maybe you should give this guy kind of like a free pass. John Murphy's a complicated guy, and I've said that I don't like his character, but I want to state this again. The actor playing him is acting the hell out of this. He's an incredible actor. I just hate his character because I know people like him. And it's tough seeing that kind of realism, seeing a real person. It's one of the great things about this show is it forces you to see how real people react to the unbelievable, kind of like the show The Outsider. And how sometimes when I'm faced with this reality that I claim to want, I recoil at it. When I'm trying to learn to embrace the fact that this is a real person, a person that's being portrayed realistically. And but my feeling is John Murphy should go to jail for beating people up that just want to believe what they believe. They're not hurting anybody. He just can't accept it. But it also goes into John Murphy's past with what he did, and that kind of gets brought up in this episode. So now Kevin has his little meltdown part where it's very quiet though. He leaves the baby in the car. He's upstairs talking to himself, talking to Patty, left the baby in the car. Nora sees him, and he's just like, oh God, I completely forgot. I went to the hardware store, I forgot. I completely, spaced. At least now she sees him talking to himself. He's having a full conversation with someone. But she's just still kind of ignoring it. It's okay. We're all together. We'll figure it out. It's not a big deal. And then when we talk, she confronts John. Erica confronts John about what he did to the guy in the hospital. And he's like, he was selling lies. And she's like, well, if that's true, if you only beat him up for selling lies to people, which is to do, but this guy considers himself judge, jury, and executioner of anybody who comes into his little town. And that's another thing is like I said, I know people like that too. I live in a small town, and those kind of people exist. But she's like, then why did you palm print? Why did you palm print him for a police station thing? Why are you trying to rule him out as somebody who could have done something to our daughter if he's just some scumbag, trying to sell people, fake miracle water? And she says, you need to hit people because you need to hit people. And he was doing this before his daughter disappeared. So this guy is just an angry motherfucker. And he's been that way. Whatever caused him to do what he did in the past that sent him to jail is still there. He likes to pretend that he's doing all this and beating people up because I'm just standing up for the community, when there's a deeper seated problem with this man that all stems back to his crime that sent him to jail. Meanwhile, they see Jill and their son holding hands, which does not sit well with her. You can just see the kind of look on their face of just not a racist kind of thing, just, I don't know. Well, Nora at least gets some comfort when one of the researchers calls again and says, what they're really doing. And she finally gets to realize that this is nothing. Who gives a shit about these people that are coming to talk to her? Because they believe, like you think it's all scientific and all going to be really intricate. Try to figure out this way that her ultraviolet rays or whatever, and the lensing process. Well, their lensing process all stems from the belief that they think she's inhabited by the demon Azrael. And so it's just like basically what the fuck. You know, what a bunch of bullshit. Erica, meanwhile, again, this episode is jam-packed, gets another pie. They had gotten a pie before on John's birthday, but they thought it was the neighbors that gave it to him, you know, like so. This time, though, she catches the person in the act and chases him down. She finds out that the pie was given to them by John's father, played by Stephen Williams, the one who was offering to help, you know, I think Kevin and Matt, maybe both, with their problems. I think it was Kevin. And you find out that John Murphy shot his own father. We don't know why yet. But that's that thing just kind of freaked out for a second. So then they have Nora takes Mary to visit Matt, who is no longer hanging out naked in the stocks. He's completely acclimated to camp life. He's helping these people in the way that only Matt could, which is just, you know, kind of weird. He's a weird guy. But he doesn't know about bringing Mary to the fundraiser because it seems like a hostile move because the way that these people feel about miracles, they don't want to hear about Mary's being able to wake up. So, but they're like, who cares? Nora is like, I don't care. I'm taking her. We live here. So we find out, like, from Michael that he thinks that everyone deserves forgiveness. Lori calls Nora because Tommy left her. So that's going to be an upcoming episode. And so we get to the fundraiser, the big climax of this episode, right? The big moment. Well, there's a couple of big moments that are about to happen here. One is Erica's breakdown not breakdown, but like rage out at the fundraiser. We got the people all singing, "It's a miracle." Oh my God, that song. Oh my God, that song. And it's so annoying because there are songs like that people make up for their stupid shit. They have a clip show with all the girls. This is all to drum up money to keep the search for them going. And basically Erica goes off, and it's glorious. Because in walks the guy who likes to slaughter the goats in public places because he killed one on the day that the departure happened and nobody was taken. So he thinks that if he does it every time, everywhere they go, he's helping somehow. But she breaks it down like, you did something that you should be in jail for still, and it didn't help. It didn't stop anything. He goes off on the lady who's always wearing the wedding dress. Just basically telling all these people nothing you did. It didn't mean anything. And, you know, if there are no miracles in this place to her husband in front of everyone, why does this guy who slaughters goats in front of everybody get a pass? Why does he get to do what he does? The 9,621 of us. So she leaves, and Nora had the questions. She got the questionnaire. There's a new questionnaire for the DST that she got from Joel Murray's character. And she was going to give it to Erica there, but when she leaves, Nora follows her home with the new questionnaire. And starts asking her all the questions. And I love how they ask enough for us to see it having an effect on Erica, like being kind of irritated with this, like hearing certain questions that feel like that hit home about like Evie's seizures and stuff, and that she had this wish. She had a wish that if she was gone, her daughter would be okay. And it was like they had this bird that she buried. There's that whole theme that this happens before. And we saw it where she opened up the box and the bird flew out. Well, in this we see that the bird's, like the beginning of that, like the bird being dead and her burying it. And she tells that story that when she wished for it, she opened up the box, the bird flew out, and that night her daughter disappeared. And she blames herself. And Nora very bluntly says that that's quite a stretch. And you think that it's blunt honesty, and at first it is. But then Nora says the lie at the end, that she's moved on, and she's fine. And Erica's face, seeing through that, her hurting, like Nora kind of hurting her, and Erica seeing the lie and her deciding to hurt her back, saying, what were the last things your kids said to you before they departed? Did they die or did they depart? Because she experienced the same thing. She's basically questioning, like, did your children just die, and you're saying this to me as if it didn't happen? Like my belief in that she did depart didn't happen? And that breaks Nora down. And she starts crying and she leaves. So they're cutting each other, they're hurting each other, deflecting pain, both saying that one side's true, one side's not. And Kevin, she comes home, Nora comes home, and Kevin's there finally telling her we have to talk, like right now. I love Nora's reaction to this. It's just so matter-of-factly. Because he says, I've been seeing someone, and I'm like, oh man, why'd you have to say it like that? Because it sounds like he's cheating on her. And you can tell that from the start that she feels like that's what he's saying. And then he tells her, I'm seeing Patty Levin. Ever since we found the baby, I've been seeing Patty, and she's been telling me all sorts of shit. And she's telling me right now that I just made a huge mistake telling you. And right at that moment, Erica throws a rock through their window. So it come full circle all the way back around to these two families going to be at odds. And it's pretty amazing. Another fantastic outing by the Leftovers. All the acting is so good. The music's so great. The direction is so fantastic. These episodes are jam-packed with things. They challenge you. Because even I have my belief is that there's really nothing happening. And that's the thing that I always question is has that thought process of nothing, of there being nothing, has that become my belief, or do I just think it? And so that's what I love watching shows like this, is it gets me to thinking about my own thought processes on this kind of situation. And I'm glad that it reaches some of you guys as well. And hopefully this draws Jen Webb out of subscriber, brings her back to the comment section. Jen, I'm hoping that you leave a comment on this video. Hopefully you haven't unsubscribed because you thought I'd never come back to doing the Leftovers. We miss you in the comment section, Jen. So, and Belinda will probably be happy to see this as well. Belinda R., one of my also loyal subscribers. So if you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitter, reviews_gun. And we will see you on the next week on episode 7. Bye.